Good morning, dear distinguished guests, the leaders of the industry, ladies and gentlemen. As host airline, it's my great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to you all to the 79th AGM and the Air Transport Summit. Also welcome to Istanbul, which is one of the most magnificent cities in the world. I'm really very proud to host more than 1,500 participants. As Mr. Walsh said, this is the most attention-taking, crowded summit ever had. So, and it is, I think, Istanbul gets the privilege of it. So welcome again. Let me begin by also thanking you for your time today at this important gathering to come together to consider the hot issues of our sector and also debate the future of aviation. Today we will look at the aviation's contribution as a critical lifeline during the disaster, and I would like to share some of our experiences, what we have experienced during those very hard times, an update about the devastating earthquake that had a terrible impact in Turkey and also Syria earlier this year. On February 6 at 4:17 a.m. Local time, an earthquake measuring 7.8 magnitude struck Kahramanmaraş at the southern part of Turkey, but actually it struck and affected 11 cities in the south and the central region of Turkey. We talk about the earthquake, however, the first earthquake was followed by a very strong second one, and it was as strong as the first one, and then we had aftershocks that rumbled throughout the affected region. These were some of the strongest earthquakes to hit the region in a century. More than 50,000 of our people died, thousands of people were injured, and millions of people were left in need of shelter, medical aid, food, and we cannot underestimate the chaos and the destruction ensued. And on behalf of all of us at Pegasus Airlines, I continue to extend our heartfelt sympathies to those who lost loved ones, and we will forever share in mourning their loss. Of course, all of us were affected deeply by this tragic event, and while there will always be such sadness associated with it, I'd like to acknowledge the incredible international humanitarian response to the earthquakes facilitated by the aviation industry. Recent events put into focus how aviation is crucial during these catastrophic times. And from the moment the earthquake occurred on February 6, airlines across the world rallied to help. And airlines have a vital role to play during these times by providing support, by facilitating the relief and the evacuation efforts, and also delivering aid to those affected regions. And the humanitarian need due to these earthquakes was, of course, as you may imagine, was massive. And aviation played, and in many ways are still playing, continues to play a significant role in facilitating the relief. The aviation industry responded very quickly to the earthquakes, working together, both in Turkey and around the world. And this was a vital strategy actually for this rescue and aid efforts. At least 3,500 tons of aid from more than 90 countries, 90 countries, was flown into the disaster zone. And within a few hours of the call for international assistance, an international air bridge was established, and everyone really worked tirelessly around the day to do as much as they could do. The airlines, the ground handlers, just worked around the clock to ensure that what's needed in the region, how we can support. And the most critical learning we have during this disaster, maybe also this was a key takeaway from the COVID times, is the key role of coordination, collaboration, and planning between all the official authorities and the sector players, like airlines, involved in the aftermath of natural disaster. We had really difficult days during February, after 6th of February, after the earthquake. We have seen that as long as we have coordinated, we managed well. But when that coordination, that collaboration or planning, for the next few hours even, was not there, unfortunately, we, as the sector players, had a very difficult time to provide that support with our flights. So this was also what we have experienced, I've seen during COVID times. So I think this key learning here, especially during crisis times, this collaboration between the government authorities, between the airlines, between all the sector players are vital, and we should never forget this. We should be, because we know that aviation is open to crisis. We hope that we will never see such devastating natural disasters or something like COVID again in our lifetime. However, we will know that we will see some crisis. So, and we should really strive for this collaboration and cooperation. I'd also would like to acknowledge and show gratitude for the significant amount of funds raised by NGOs and charities and crowdfunder campaigns, not to mention the individuals, who donated as much as they could do to provide vital life-saving aid, such as food, water, and healthcare to those affected, and even cold weather kits to help people stay warm. In the darkest of days, such an overwhelming response showed the compassion and the kindness in all of us. As Pegasus, we really spend all our resources for the region. From the moment the earthquake hit, we as a team worked tirelessly to provide support on the ground, and we operated 785 free of charge evacuation flights to carry more than 150,000 of our people on our evacuation flights from the region to Istanbul, Ankara, Izmir, Antalya, elsewhere, where they can stay safe, and how to improve also their the conditions after the earthquake. We also transported over 110 tons of aid materials and facilitated the transportation of more than 120,000 people and rescue teams to the disaster zone. By working closely with the government agencies, humanitarian organizations, local authorities to coordinate the relief efforts, we try to optimize the flow of supplies and personnel. As well as continuing our transportation support, we also helped citizens affected by the earthquake with financial aid. I really continue to be moved by this response and by the collective efforts of my colleagues at Pegasus Airlines. I'm really very proud of them all. But our work does not stop here. People affected still need our support. At Pegasus, we recognize this need for long-term solidarity and support, and the Pegasus family, alongside our industry colleagues, will continue to do our part to sustain this. We are determined to continue our commitment to assisting the affected earthquake zones through supporting long-term aid programs, because we know that this will take long time to recover, and our support should be in line with that. We also cannot underestimate the psychological effects caused by the earthquakes, and some of the strongest as I said, to hit the area in a century. This is why it's so important to collaborate with organizations that are working hard to help. Since the earthquake struck, we have supported the Federation of Women's Associations of Turkey's Mor Yerleşke, which is in English the Purple Campus Project. Purple Campus Project aims to provide long-term support by improving the conditions of women, children, elderly people, and people with disabilities in the earthquake zone, creating psychosocially safe spaces for them by caring for their most basic needs. There are so many aspects of daily life that are forgotten among the wider issues of food, shelter, and clothing, and Mor Yerleşke is incredibly mindful of them. Among the services being provided with a gender equality perspective are health services for women, breastfeeding rooms, activity areas for children, and psychological counseling for children and adults, and access to hygiene materials. Of course, healing after such a tragedy takes time, but we will continue to do our utmost effort, as much support we can. We will also continue to be uplifted by the inspiring stories and efforts of so many people who continue to push forward and take steps each day towards a brighter future. Their future which is also our future. I know in this room, either individually or at company level, there are many supporters who provided aid to the region. I sincerely thank you all, everyone, who helped in any way, however large or small, to support those affected. I hope the aviation sector will leave such global and local crises behind and work in collaboration and cooperation for the future of our sector. Thank you.
Güliz, thank you very much for not only your professional perspective, but your very personal one at this time of incredible recovery. And Güliz was lovely in explaining one of the key learnings that she took out of it when she spoke about collaboration, coordination, and planning. And that doesn't happen without relationships. And the aviation industry is one of the most unique in the world in the genuine relationships that you have, that are built on trust, that are built on competence, and that are built on credibility. So thank you for Güliz for starting us all off. It is now my honor to invite Numan Olcar, the Chief Advisor to the President of Tursab, the Association of Turkish Travel Agencies, to provide insight, please, on how the tourism sector is recovering, beginning with this short video. Enjoy.
11 cities of Turkey were destroyed by two major earthquakes that occurred in a row on February the 6th, 2023. In the biggest disaster of the century, we lost tens of thousands of fellow citizens in Hatay, Adıyaman, Malatya, Gaziantep, Kilis, Şanlıurfa, Diyarbakır, Adana, Osmaniye and Elazığ, and hundreds of thousands were injured. The pain we experienced is inexpressible, and it is impossible to make up for our losses. But life goes on despite everything. The healing power and the economic contribution of tourism will play a big part in healing the wounds of the people of the region, reactivating the economy and reviving the region. Because these 11 cities, which are among the most special cultural, gastronomic and faith tourism destinations not only in Turkey but also in the world, have a great potential in tourism with their values and riches. The region, which is on the UNESCO World Heritage List with Mount Nemrut, fortifications of Diyarbakır, Hevsel Gardens, Göbekli Tepe and Arslantepe Mound, hosts many values that belongs to the common heritage of the humanity, and the Church of St. Peter, which is the first Catholic church in the world, to Habibi Nejar Mosque. These cities in the earthquake zone, which stand out with gastronomic product variety and have more than 300 products that have geographical indication, have also international recognition in this field. Gaziantep and Hatay are included in the UNESCO Creative Cities Network in the field of gastronomy. All these values we have are our biggest assurance to re-establish the cities, which are greatly damaged in the earthquakes economically. Based on this perspective, as TURSAB, we aim to realise an approach that will revive tourism movements towards the region. We will act with an approach that will promote the region at national and international level. In this process, we expect the support of tourism sector representatives from all over the world.
Good morning. Good morning. Dear managers of IATA, it's an honor to stand before you today. I have interacted with IATA for over 35 years, but I never thought that I would have an opportunity to address the IATA World Air Transport Summit. Unfortunately, it's not for the happy reasons. As you saw on the video, we faced a terrible situation in aftermath of the earthquake on 6th of February 2023. For us, the world was turned upside down literally. Many people died. Many critical pieces of the critical infrastructure were destroyed. And many of our most attractive tourism resources suffered with a huge damage. Our pain is still fresh, and the psychological and economic impact of the disaster are ongoing. As dear Gülis mentioned, huge effort we made to bring aid to critical resources to the region. With the emergency responses over, we need to look to the future. If we were to be realistic, it doesn't seem to be possible for the earthquake area to recover quickly or for the regional economy regain its former strength. It's going to take a time to cover wounds the disaster has brought upon us. Dear attendees, in the case of tourism, as you saw on the video, the affected region has amazing tourism sites. This helps Turkey to rise the 4th places as the most visited destination in 2022. And tourism in Turkey, pre-pandemic, contributed about 5.1% in the national economy. People come to our country for great weather, for gastronomy, for the landscapes, and for our rich story. About 22% of the Turkey's World Heritage sites are in the region, and unfortunately, many of them has been damaged. Especially the museums are damaged badly. So when we look to the future, we can of course must consider the rebuilding and saving what we can do for historical treasures and reviving the infrastructure. And we must remember that the earthquake did not destroy all. The landscapes, food, weather are gorgeous as ever. And the spirit of the Turkish people remains warm and welcoming. That gives us much to rebuild with. Dearest representative of IATA, tourism with its locomotive structure that activates the economy and ensures the wheels keep turning will play a crucial role in the future of the regional economy. Therefore, we believe that when we provided with the support of tourism activities in our region, will within a 2 years time frame. As the TURSAB, Association of Turkish Travel Agencies, which has 14,000 members, under the leadership of our president, Mr. Balıkaya, we are taking an approach that revitalizes the tourism movements to the uplift in the region. Despite being earthquake-stricken cities, we are working towards reviving cultural and gastronomic tours that encompass the tourist attraction unaffected by the damage. With our project called TURSAP Rota, we will support the vital tourism movements. Recovering is not something that the TURSAP or any other entity can do alone. My message to you today is that we must keep alive the spirit of the cooperation and solidarity that got us through the early days of the crisis. With the support of IATA and the other national and international institutions, tourism in the region and across Turkey will grow stronger. Hosting international meetings like this is also the critical part of the overall recovery process. I hope that you will return home with many good memories of your time in our country and help us to spread the word that the Turkey, like a phoenix, is rising again. If you continue to send us the tourists on your planes, we will make sure that they have a fantastic time in our country. I thank you for listening to me and express you my love and respects. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olcar. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Ahmet Olmuştur, the Chief Marketing and Sales Representative from Turkish Airlines, who's going to be speaking on behalf of Ahmet Bolat, the Chairman of the Board and Executive Committee of Turkish Airlines. Over to you. Thank you.
Good morning. On behalf of Dr. Ahmet Bolat, I would like to salute you. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it in the last minute, so I'm going to make my best. Fellow aviation professionals and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to welcome you, all of you, in Istanbul for IATA's annual general meeting, World Air Transport, IATA 2023. As Turkey's flag carrier and the airline flying to more countries than any other in the world, we are glad to be co-hosting you in this prestigious event in our hometown through our trademark Anadolu Jet. Istanbul is a historic meeting point of continents and trade routes and one of the rising stars of global aviation. Airlines, logistic providers, freight forwarders, airport authorities, and handling companies, and over 1,000 delegates are here to discuss our industry's recovery from the pandemic, sustainability issues, geopolitical challenges, and I'm sure it will be a fruitful meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, as the previous speakers have kindly noted that Turkey has gone through a disaster. The double earthquakes that hit the southeastern part of Turkey and Anatolia region in the early February were unique in their quick procession. Such strong seismic events are usually separated by centuries, but in our case, they happened within only hours. Thanks to a rapid and effective response by our government and a comprehensive reconstruction plan, and we expect the region to start recovery both in terms of tourism and other economic activity as early as this summer. And Turkey, a country of the crossroad of continents, is as beautiful as it is strong. It has a story that spans millennia and proudly boasts a vast and diverse heritage of different civilizations. A combination of breathtaking natural beauty, as you have seen in the video, and historic and cultural sites, along with great food and the Turkish culture of hospitality, make visiting our country a top choice for any travel enthusiast. That is why Turkey plans to host more than 60 million tourists this year, 10 million more than last year. From Istanbul, the capital of empires, to Cappadocia, the magical landscape of fairy chimneys, and from the sunny beaches of Antalya, the Turkish Riviera to the alpine landscape of Black Sea region, Turkey offers tourists a multitude of selections to experience and enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, As the flag carrier airline of Turkey, we consider ourselves to be a direct contributor and a stakeholder of our tourism industry. As we have seen aviation industry taking new heights right after the pandemic, we believe prospects look very promising for aviation and the tourism for the foreseeable future. As the airline flying to more countries than any other, Turkish Airlines' core mission of bridging continents, countries and cultures will carry even more meaning as we will continue to expand our wings further and make the world smaller. I bid you welcome and thank you for your participation in IATA's annual general meeting. This is the right place where we, through workshops, debates and discussions, and exchange of ideas, will tackle the challenges that await aviation together and propel our business further. Have a great stay in Istanbul and enjoy. Thank you.